Welcome to the BPA Worldwide hosted webinar on monetizing digital, turning your magazine into a digital profit center, something we as publishers have thought about for a long time. Let's review what you'll see and hear about today, as this is going to be a jam-packed webinar. This is a jam-packed schedule today, and we've got a lot to listen and learn from. So one of the things that we're going to share today and learn about is the new publishing methodology to turn digital from a giveaway to a profit center. You've been giving it away, now you're going to learn how to really make money with it. Another thing you're going to learn about is the migration tactics to get print advertisers paying for digital, creating successful digital magazines. One of the most important things you're going to learn about today, so pay attention, is how to automate digital ad sales. You've given it away, now you'll learn how to make money with it. You'll now have the opportunity to make money like Google every time an ad gets read. There are going to be 3 technologies you're going to learn about and should embrace, and 2 you should abandon immediately because they're really, really holding you back as a digital publisher. And lastly, 3 things that are sabotaging your money-making efforts. What you're going to learn today is how to really make money with your digital magazines. Good morning and afternoon, everyone. I'm Ed Tyler, your host. A little about how I got here. Right out of the military, I've got a 35-year career, and I've been on the teams of 13 launches, both digital and print, and both consumer and B2B. And for the last 13 years, I've run a company that I founded, Government Security News, which I sold about a year ago. I know a little bit about your digital challenges because as a publisher, I faced the same ones. My guest today is Larry Jenkins, declared a great marketing mind by business legend Robert Allen. Larry Jenkins has captured the respect of billionaires, CEOs, best-selling authors, and marketing gurus. He's the founder and CEO of 11 Media, developer of the MagTitan and Ad Einstein suite of software, and has personally launched 26 magazines in over 10 years. For many of you on this webinar, you're going to love his background because he started out as a print guy and now has come to the digital world. Larry has worked with over 100 media companies, including USA Today, Forbes, Time, Newsweek, Inc., Fortune, and it goes on. Today, he's recognized as one of the world's foremost experts on digital media. Welcome, Larry.
Hey, Ed, it's great to be with you.
Before we get started, some housekeeping notes. We'll have a Q&A at the end, so enter your questions in the chat window. And for everyone, it's important that you stay through the whole webinar. I've asked Larry to have a special offer for everyone here today. I'll have him share it at the end of the webinar. So let's get to it. Larry, I'd like to start today off with the big picture, if you will.
Well, yeah, let's get into it. So let me just kind of jump in here with monetization follows digital readership. And the reason why we have lousy digital readership, which is at the core of why, the monetization is so lousy, is that we have trained people not to open our digital editions and not to read our digital editions. And I'm going to show an example here, and I'm going to pull up a video here. Let me just jump around. And I'll go over to our website here on MagTitan, and you can see these on your own here. They're under the In Action tab. I'm going to show you an example right now of what happened with the USA Today, where they went from a digital edition, as most everybody on this call is doing, a replica digital edition, and what that is like, and how they transform their digital edition. So let me just kind of preface this by saying that if you are not able to put out a digital edition that people can read easily, there's no way that you're going to make a monetization. So if you're not willing to make a change from what you're about to see, I think that you should probably, not to be harsh, but just not be on this call, because you have to change the reading experience if you have any hope of making money from this. So with this, let me show a 3-minute video of how the USA Today went from unreadable to readable. So here we go.
Singing in our things can only get better, can only get better. If we see it through, that means me and I mean you too. So teach me not to think, can only get better, can only get, take it on from me, I know that things can only get better. Show me prejudice and greed, and you've shown me how I must learn to deal with this disease. I'll look at things now in a different light than I did before. And I found the cause, and I think that you can be my cure. So teach me to walk your path with your shoes. Talk like that, I'll be an angel and think can only get better, can only get better. Now I found you, come to me with a tear like things can only get better, can only get better. Now I found you, so teach me to walk your path with your shoes. Talk like that, I'll be an angel and think can only get better, can only get better. Now I found you, and you, baby, can only get better, can only get better. Now I found you.
If you have a publication that is a replica of a print, by definition, you are squishing down that content. And when you squish it down, it requires the reader to zoom, pinch, or squint in order to be able to see that. The second that you do that, if you are not putting out content that is live or die, the reader is not going to spend much time with it. And that is at the heart. So, I have a dog in this fight, and that is we've spent 3 years building this software, but the principle is most important, and that is making your content readable. And from there, everything with monetization follows.
Larry, I think that everyone on this webinar will agree. What we've all been, as publishers, what we've all been sending out to our audiences is a digital issue under glass, page flipper. I think we'll all agree that it sounded really cool the first couple of times we swished the page. But once the readers started realizing that they actually had to do something, pinch, squeeze, zoom the ad, it became a less fun ride. And what I noticed as a publisher was that my open rate was really starting to decrease. As
well,
you
and
shared,
let's talk about open. Let's take open rates for a second. Why are open rates terrible, right? The wrong answer is that people don't like to read content on digital. They don't like to read them on their phones or tablets or computers. What we know, every statistic that I've read over the last 7 years shows that readership is moving to digital, especially on mobile. The problem is, if you look at the screen here, these are just screenshots that I've enlarged from my iPhone 6 Plus. It is unreadable. The second you force somebody to zoom, you lose them. And if they've done that before and they had a horrible experience, when you send out your next issue's email, why should they open it? You've trained them that it's a terrible experience. That is why the readership and open rates are so terrible.
As you've shared this with publishers, what's been your experience?
Honestly?
Yes, that's exactly what we want out of this webinar.
Well, and look, I come at this as a publisher. I've been a B2B publisher for years. I've done some consumer publishing. I am very scared for traditional publishers. And the reason that I say that is that, and I have had literally, as people have found out about our software, I've literally had over 100 sales calls about the software with publishers, and they, to me, as an overgeneralization, are stuck in old business models, and they're stuck with old technologies. They move very slow. You know who and this is, it pains me to say this, Ed, but let me tell you who I think is going to be the big winner in digital magazine publishing. You ready for this?
Yes.
It is people who are web-only publishers today. People, and you think about this, there are people out there, many companies, who don't have a magazine, but they publish content every day on their website. They have audience, and they have advertisers. And all they need to do is to add a digital magazine to the mix that is taking advantage, that's readable, just for God's sakes, right? Then they have everything to go in and take over a particular market. And these people are not stuck in old business models. In fact, it's quite the opposite, and we'll talk about this today. They are making money via banner ads predominantly, right? And banner ad prices are low and going lower. And so when they see to be able to get a premium rate for their advertising through a digital magazine, they're all over this. And I have people signing up all over the place who are web publishers who aren't stuck in the model. That is, so I think those people, unless I get surprised and traditional publishers get on the ball and really become more adaptable, I'm really scared for traditional publishing.
Well, I know, having been a traditional publisher, when in the media group that I was running for the last 13 years that I sold, 80% of my revenue was from print, only 20 from digital. You're saying that the publishers that are coming to your platform and embracing it are web publishers. Why do you say that? Do you have any examples of that?
Well, we have, lots of it. I'll give you one example. There is an insurance website who has a database of over 1.6 million insurance agents. And they publish all sorts of information on all categories of insurance, mainly geared towards helping insurance agents sell. And they're monetizing banner ads. Well, when they saw the model, and we'll go over later on, I'm going to go through a calculator that actually shows how much money can be made by even small audiences, not somebody who has a huge database like that. But when they're making money at less than $1 per thousand for banner ads, right, because they're using a lot of programmatic stuff, they basically came on board and said they want to launch 4 magazines. One was started, and they put out their first demo issue. It's called 24/7 Annuities, and they're also going to do publications on life insurance, property and casualty, and there was one other insurance category. And they literally signed up, and it was one call. Let's go, Larry, help us, and get started. Whereas other publishers that I've talked to, they could. They're just so stuck. They just have meeting after meeting, and then they can't get out of their own way. So that's just one example.
Could you give us some examples of why you think the publishers today that have both print and digital, why do you think they're sabotaging their own revenue streams?
Yeah, and actually I have a slide. Let me think. I think it might be the next slide here. Okay. So, yeah. So there are three things that publishers are doing that are well-meaning but that are totally sabotaging how much money they make. And I'm talking specifically of traditional publishers here. So the first one we already talked about, and that is replica software. Because with replica, when you can't read it without the zooming, you're dead in the water. The next thing that publishers are doing that is, maybe I should have put this one as number one, is that 99% of traditional publishers are giving away digital ads for free, right? It's almost like, it sounds like the .com days, right, where they would have these unbelievable specials and they would say, oh, don't worry, we're losing money on each transaction, but we'll make it up on volume. Well, that's what publishers are doing because advertising is moving to digital. Readership is moving to digital. Now, we also know that print is what pays the bills today. But given that, if you give away and train that your digital is not worth much or completely for free, there will be a day of reckoning. And not a month goes by where we don't see the news release of this company going out of business or that company shutting down. I mean, Harris Publishing just shut down within the last month. You had to have thought that with the publications they'd have, they would have sold it, except nobody wanted to buy it, right? And so there's these days of reckoning that are happening. You cannot, for the long-term survival, keep giving away digital. You need to turn it into a profit center. And I guess the third saboteur is one that I've made myself as a publisher, and that is putting way too much content on your website. And there's going to be exceptions to this rule, but let me explain my thinking, right? We as publishers, what do? We put out content that attracts readers that we monetize by giving advertisers access to our readers. When you drive readership to your website by putting out all of this content, and you can only monetize your audience by banner ad rates. Now, I have not heard anybody who gets as much for their banner ads as they do for their magazine ad pages. And typically, it is a 90% or 99% discount off of what the print ads or digital magazine ads are, because you're getting, very, very low CPMs for ads. Well, the second that happens, you have just given advertisers a backdoor to access your audience at a far lower price. So it totally sabotages your monetization efforts. Totally does.
Well, that's all well and good if publishers knew of a viable alternative and ignored it. We are here in part because you spent a lot of time developing an alternative approach. Why don't you dive into the tech and business model you believe would be better for publishers to monetize digital?
Yeah. And let me want to caveat what I just said about the website and the low-price banner ads. If you are the Huffington Post, if you are Time Magazine, it can work because you can have huge volume. You also have huge, overhead with staffing and stuff. But if you're a B2B publisher, the chances of that working are very low. So, all right, let's talk about the model and the technology that I would advocate everybody really look at very seriously. And to come up with this, I didn't invent this. I'm reinventing what was the biggest success in our lifetime when it comes to digital advertising, and that's Google. And depending on what statistics you read, about 1 in every 12 ad dollars on the planet go to Google. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, why is that? Because let's face it, the ads on Google, those little text ads of 100 or 200 characters, whatever it is minuscule. It can't be that advertisers love that so much. But what Google did was they popularized two things that made them such a huge success. The first thing is pay on performance. Advertisers absolutely love that if somebody doesn't click on their Google text ad, they don't pay a nickel. And when they do click, they're happy to be able to set their rate and pay that fair rate when somebody does. So that pay-per-performance model has been a runaway success. The other thing that Google does that we as publishers, magazine publishers, don't do is they do not have a rate card. Google says, we don't care if you have $2 or $2 million. We'll take whatever you have. And if you only have $2, spend your $2 with us. When you've run through your budget of $2, we're going to pull your ad out and we're going to put in somebody else so that we monetize the traffic every time. Doesn't matter to us. As publishers, we have a rate card and we say, if you can't afford, our smallest fractional ad of $1,500, sorry, you can't spend money with us. We can't take your money. And that's not because publishers don't want the money, it's just that the technology has limited them to that. So what I'm going to show you now is that what we've done is we have brought the Google model to magazine advertising and enhanced it. So I'm going to show you that in a minute I'm going to talk about the model and how much you can make. But I think it's first and most important to talk about how do you make selling ads easy again, right? You shouldn't have to have the most skilled sales team in order to be able to close business. And part of that is using technology that makes advertisers go, oh my God, how can I do that for my ad? So let me kind of give through a couple examples. I'm going to go back over here. So I'm in a little demo area site now, and this is using our MagTitan software. So take it with a grain of salt. I definitely, am biased here. But that being said, the first thing you'll notice is that visually how striking things that you can do with ads are, right? So that's the hardest challenge, right? Get an advertiser or get a reader to stop, right? And if you have, boring ads like this, not that this is a terrible ad or anything, but you compare it to when a reader's flipping a page to something like this, most people would agree that this is more visually captivating. The next thing is, why is it that if magazines were invented today, Ed, and we knew about all these powerful computers and tablets and smartphones, do you think that we would say to them, you can only have a page of advertising with us? The reality is digital ads, it doesn't cost us any more to give people a second or third page than it does to give them a single page. But the reason we don't is because we don't have the technology that allows us to do that. In our software, you can now go to advertisers and say you can have an infinite number of pages in your ad, and they're completely interactive. So watch this. You give them choices, right? So they can now say, I'm interested in SUVs. They click on SUVs. Now we're at the second page of the ad. It's all about SUVs, and we can offer them another choice. So we're taking them down a sales funnel here. So let's say they pick the middle price. Now we're on a page. It's the third page of the BMW ad. I could flip the page, right? I can, I'm still in the magazine. I haven't left it. I'm on the third page of the ad, all about SUVs in my price range. And let's see the X3 model. So now I'm on the X3 model, and look at this. A video comes up. It plays instantly. There's audio that's playing, and you can literally play a 2-minute video, a 22-minute video, and it works flawlessly. Now, the next thing, advertisers obviously are not only interested in branding, but in lead generation. So watch what happens here. I'm going to click Located Dealer, okay? What is happening is, instead of what happens with every other software where it takes you out of the magazine, which is a bad thing for us as publishers, it brings the website to the reader. So Ed, what's your zip code? I know you're in New York. What's your zip code?
11706.
All right. So when you're ready to get your new BMW, or do you want to use one, Ed?
No, as a matter of fact, my lease on my 535S is up in about a year, so I'll prefer a new one, thank you.
Okay. So when you're ready, Haberstad BMW of Bayshore on Sunrise Highway is the nearest one to you. Is that correct?
I know exactly where it is. I know exactly where it is.
Right. So now think about the possibilities, right? We can interact with the website. We're putting it right inside their ad. But watch what happens next, right? So let's go to a different ad. And this is going to be something, I know most of the people on the call are B2B publishers. And for those of you who are having sound problems, I see some people chatting in. Look in the chat. I put the dial-in number there, so hopefully you guys can get there to the dial-in. So I'm going to flip the ad, and I'm going to show you a consumer ad. But don't worry that it's a consumer ad. Notice the animations, right, and capturing a reader's attention. So this is a movie ad for the movie Danny Collins. So now we can click. If we're interested, we can watch the whole video here. I just pushed pause accidentally, and you'll see it comes up. The whole video trailer plays. But even more than just being able to do this, so if you think in a B2B world, it could be a product demo. It could be customer testimonials. It could be literally anything they want. But now instead of just lead generation, here if I click the Fandango link, I can actually come in and enter my zip code and purchase tickets to the movie. So now the advertisers are no longer just generating leads or branding, but you as publishers are able to help them to consummate sales. So let's show one more example, and then we'll go into the money part of this, which is really cool. So here's another animated ad, and what's interesting here is that it has a video-like effect, but it's using animations. And the reason that that's important is that on mobile phones like the iPhone, they don't allow autoplay video. And so you can't create it without a click. Well, if you use an animation, then it will give this video effect just like that. And then literally I can click on a link, I could go into the JetBlue website, I can plan my trip, I can enter a credit card and spend hundreds of dollars with JetBlue if I'd like. So this is a better mousetrap for the advertisers, much better than Google's little text ads, and certainly much better than static ads that we always have. So
Larry,
hopefully that can
before you go any further, I think everyone on the call on the webinar would agree with me that this technology pretty much blows away what is out there today, and I think every advertiser should be thrilled that they could be part of it. I'm sure many of the publishers on the webinar would be interested in seeing how complicated or uncomplicated it would be to develop a page of this content. Is that something you could share with us today?
Yeah, I can totally do it, and I could show it. Or let me let's do this. Let's do this. Let me go here first because I have so many things I want to share. But let's talk about this for 1 second, and then we'll go into that. So I'm going to make this into slideshow mode. Okay. So let's talk for a second about the second part of that Google model, and then I'll talk about how easy it is to build the ad pages. So first thing is, when it comes to Google, okay, what Google has done with the pay on performance, we now have brought. So you have the option as a publisher to sell ads how you've traditionally sold them. You can give them away. You can charge whatever you want, and that's fine. But with our MagTitan software, you have the ability to actually get paid every time an ad gets read. Now, let me be specific with what get read really means. So first thing you'll notice is that our software only displays full page ads, and it only displays a full page at a time. So if somebody is reading that ad, there's nothing else that they can see on that page. And so we charge advertisers, and you have the ability to charge your advertisers when either they click on an ad, because if they've clicked on that ad, they had to have read some of it, and we did our job as publishers, so therefore we should be able to get paid. The second thing is you can get paid if they spend 10 seconds or more on an ad. These are what we call a verified view, because we verified that they had to have read at least some part of it. And, if they're spending 10 seconds or more on an ad, they have either read that ad or they fell asleep. It's got to be one of the two, right? Now, let's go to the advertisers and what they get out of this exchange. First, they get the Google Pay on Performance. They get to set their own budget. They can come in now and say, I want to advertise for $12. I want to take a test for $170, whatever it is. You, as publishers, get to set the price of your ads. We recommend at least doing $1, but we have B2B publishers. We're actually changing our software later this week to make it so that you can set it to any price that you want. And, you know, some publishers, like the insurance publisher that I mentioned, is setting their verified view at $5 per click or 10-second view. So the advertiser gets to set their own budget. They can start or stop whenever they want. They get this tech that's just amazing. They can consummate sales in it. You can play videos. You get an infinite number of pages. And most importantly, if somebody flips past their ad and they don't spend much time, they don't click on it, that advertiser doesn't pay anything. And so you go to the advertiser and it makes advertising easy. You don't have to have a budget. You say, look, do a test with us. I know you've never been with us before. What's an easy amount to test for you that's insignificant? $100? Okay, let's start with $100. And then you do that, and you've got them as a client, and you're working with them. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you have questions, definitely write them in the chat, and that way Ed can sort through and ask them. So let's the next thing to follow up on your question. Let me just kind of say this, Ed. I don't know if I could do this quick enough. Let me try to pull it up here. I'm going to go into, this is not the publisher's area, but I'm going to go into, we have an advertising platform that's called Ad Einstein. And so this gives us the ability to bring publishers advertising. So if you need remnant space filled, no problem. You have the option of allowing us to bring ads in and to be able to share in that revenue. So what happens, I'm just going to be really quick about this, right? I'm in as an admin here, but literally the advertiser can come in and they, well, let's just go into this ad here. I'm going to view and edit the ad. And what you're going to see is that we have a little builder. And the builder has elements of text, images, video, shapes, hotspots, backgrounds, and all of that. And we also have in here, we're actually building this out right now, but you'll see that we have templates. And so all you have to do is click this, add the template to the canvas, change the text, change the images, and you've got a new ad that's formatted like a professional ad. And you can see here that we have some for desktop and some for mobile, and that's part of the technology. I won't go into all that. We can have separate calls individually for people who want to go really deeper. But literally, it's drag and drop. Here, I'll show one other quick thing. Let's just do this. I'm going to let me not mess up their ad here. I want to get out of here. Let's just create a new ad. Oh, shoot. You know what? I'm in as an admin. It's not going to let me create an ad. Let's just go into this little demo ad. So instead of I'll clear the canvas, I'll go to templates. I want to pick this little Aflac ad. All right, so now we have the basic format loaded. It's that quick. So if I can type and say, you know, right, there you go. I have a new headline. But let's say I want to do these animations. Let's see how hard that is. So if I click on the little duck here, and I go to the Animate tab, right, and then I click here for Add Animation. And now it comes up this whole library of different animations. So, and I don't, you know, there's so many of them. We add them all the time. I don't even know what they do. So let's see what the shake is. He shakes, okay. Let's see what the rubber band is. All right, well, that rubber band. Now, suppose it doesn't move fast enough. We're going to change the duration. We'll make it 1 second instead of 3. Well, let's make it do it 3 times instead of 1. All right, well, let's say we want him to go run off the screen afterwards. So I'm going to add a new animation to this, and let's say we'll bounce out left. There we go. So now we can just go in and see the ad. I'll preview the whole thing, and there, you know, so you can play with this the whole time. So that's how easy it is. You can literally create an ad in minutes, or you can, you know, it's like, you know, Photoshop, where you can drag and drop till your heart's content.
Larry, another thought. It seems pretty straightforward, drag, drop, and click, to be able to build editorial pages or ad pages. Is there the opportunity to have some of the publishers that are on this webinar's production department to be trained on this?
Absolutely. We have a very robust help area, plus we can personally give anybody a tutorial session, and it's really easy. Any graphic designer that works with InDesign or Quark or Photoshop is going to find our stuff much, much easier.
I think it's pretty obvious how, from a creative standpoint, how this technology offers advertisers something very unique and compelling. Suppose a publisher doesn't want to use the pay-per-performance model, and they just want to bring a new animated platform to their audience.
So if they don't want to, that's no problem. You, as a publisher, you get the platform is very flexible for any business model. So if you want to keep the same model, you want to keep your existing advertisers giving away ads for free, but you want to make it a better reader experience, then that's fine. It's an option. If you want to start making money on a pay-per-performance basis, you can use it for all of your clients, none of your clients, some of your clients. It's your choice.
Can you go a little deeper into the financial ramifications for the publishers if they did decide to use the pay-per-performance model?
Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Let's look at a scenario here. And Ed, maybe you be the publisher, since you speak on behalf of the audience. So for your B2B publication, what price do you want to charge for your verified views when somebody clicks or spend 10 seconds or more on it?
I would be thrilled with a $1 per verified view.
Okay, so we'll leave $1 per verified view. All right, how many reader sessions do you want to have? Now, keep in mind that if you have, whatever your circulation is, you might have like an e-newsletter that you bring people back into the magazine. You put your e-newsletter into the magazine so you can generate revenue off of the ads. So how many sessions over the course of a month would come into this publication that we're running this scenario for?
With the audience that I had for Government Security News, I would say it would probably be about, of the total audience that actually came in and clicked and used, I would say it's about 35,000.
Okay, so under 35,000. All right, so now each of those 35,000 sessions per month, those readers are going to go through. Now, they might see 20 ads when they're going through the magazine. But if you're using this pay-per-performance technology, you only are going to get paid when somebody clicks or spends 10 seconds on it. So that's the verified view. So what's the average number of verified views that you want to enter per session here? And just as a way of estimating it, I would be conservative and do somewhere between maybe a half of a verified view to 3. Somewhere in there is probably a good number.
Well, what I'm seeing is this is new. A publisher is going to have to bring this to their advertisers. Some advertisers are going to embrace it right away. Some advertisers are going to take a little longer. So I think the verified view sessions are going to be low in the beginning, but I think obviously that that'll grow. So let's say 2 ads in an issue are viewed.
Perfect. And we can bring you some ads. You could sell them all. You can split it. However, do you want to use like you sell them all? Do you want it 50-50? What percentage would come from you for this scenario? Because that also affects the revenue share.
Yeah, I think in the beginning I'd like to have my staff selling it, and then as my staff and my advertisers and everyone gets more comfortable, then your team can sell it. But I would like to have control of that at the start.
Perfect. Okay. So in this scenario, you're charging $1 per view, 35,000 sessions per month. The average session gives 2 verified views per session, and you're selling all the ads. If you're on our starter license, you can see the net, our pro license, our publisher license in just that scenario. You can make real money from digital, and there are only 2 factors to making the money, right? One is that you have to have readers. If we change this, right, we can have the greatest technology, but if you have 3 readers, you're not going to make money, right? So you have to have readers. The second thing is you have to have advertisers who are using this model so that when a reader comes through, they can click on ads and you can generate revenue. But assuming that you have those ads and that when somebody has a $1,500 budget and they go out of the magazine, you have somebody else that you can pull in, so you're constantly dynamically inserting the ads. What you'll learn really quickly is that the limit is that of audience. The more you can get people back into the magazine, the more you will make. So let's say, for example, Ed, let's say you have 35,000 circ, right? But let's say you can do a promotion and get people back. Maybe you do a live broadcast. The software also has live broadcasts, right? So let's say you have a live broadcast and you get half of those people to come back a second time, right? So let's say now it goes to 42,000. Right? See how that changed the numbers. And maybe if somebody has this scenario, but you're not getting $1 per verified view, you're getting $1.75 per verified view. You look at the numbers. Or, like my friend in the insurance industry, $5 per verified view. And you can run all these different scenarios. But the point I really want to stress is that you can use whatever model you want. The technology allows for the ads to be read, the editorial to be read, and for us as publishers to make money like Google makes money. And, you know, does that help clarify that?
It has, and it's becoming very apparent that driving readership is a key element to being able to monetize digital. I remember from my last experience, it was for me a 80-20 split. Most of my readers were from print, 20% were digital, but I see how having digital subscribers is very important. Every publisher on this webinar has their own list. I'm curious as to your recommendations to drive traffic.
Well, that you're right. That gets at the heart of it. So we should probably have a separate webinar all about driving traffic, because especially digitally, there's so much that's into it. But you know what? There's one thing that I do want to show here, and this is on our rates tab. I worked on this for the last year. I put together a joint venture that's called Digital Direct, and it's all about building circulation, opt-in circulation for our publishers. So let me show you this. So this is on if you go to our rates tab, you'll be able to see it. So I'm going to go down here. So let me show you. So this is Digital Direct. I'll go over the pricing in a second. But here's how it works, okay? So with Digital Direct, we have, between the three companies that are part of this joint venture, we have over 1 billion opt-in email records that are sortable not only by over 300 demographic categories, but geographic categories, but also via social media. So on this example, you'll see here Sharkpreneur magazine. So Kevin Harrington, who was one of the original Sharks, has a magazine using our platform called Sharkpreneur. So what he could do is he could go to Facebook and Twitter and look up the people who love Shark Tank. In this case, Shark Tank has over 1 million followers on Facebook. They have over 300,000 followers on Twitter. And we can match those social media IDs across our database. And at about 30% of the time, we not only have an email address for that person, but we also have permission and opt-in where we can communicate with them via email. And so then we could go out on behalf of Kevin Harrington and Sharkpreneur magazine and say, hey, would you be interested in getting a free subscription to Sharkpreneur? Now, some are going to say no, no doubt, but many will say yes. And because we have this database, we can help build the circulation, which, you know, you start to think that you saw the numbers before on that calculator. For every couple thousand people that you bring into your publication, it goes straight to the bottom line. So we can help this. And I'll just show you the service as well. It's based on volume, but you can see here the rates. It's $1.95 per subscriber, and you're only paying on success. So we're giving you the name, we're giving you the opt-in, and they become part of your circulation. I mean, this really should come out of like a circulation budget, but it really is a great service for being able to monetize digital.
At this time, I'd like to really get down into the nitty-gritty. less than 5% of my advertiser base in my last magazine actually paid for their digital ad. That progress is way too slow. How do you get advertisers who haven't been paying for digital ads to start paying?
Yeah, let's go to this slide. Let me bring it up. So this is there's a lot of different options, but what you see on this slide, I'm going to take you through a migration plan or 3 different options to turn your current print advertisers who are probably paying nothing in digital to paying customers. So let's start on the first one here, which is a staged release. So what you do in this model is you just introduce the digital edition, right? You don't tell the existing advertisers anything about all the things that they could have their ads do. And instead, you just release it and create a better reading experience. Then you could go out and go to advertisers that you've never gotten before. And you hit them with the pay-per-performance model because you could take price off the table as an objection because they could literally spend $10 with you and run an ad. When your existing advertisers start to see these animated ads with all these pages and taking credit card orders and all of that, you'll start getting, inquiries. How can I have an ad that does that? And then you make an offer to those existing clients to upgrade and start paying for digital. So I call that a staged release. The second option is what I call the upsell option. So you start the same way. You introduce the new digital edition, but this time you communicate with the advertisers that you have, and you give them an option. And you can say, listen, we're making an investment in this enhanced digital software. It's going to be a much better reading experience and a much better advertising experience. But we love you. Nothing has to change for you. You can continue running your static ads just like you've been running. They're, because they're a PDF that you're just putting into our software, it's going to be shrunk down just like in whatever replica software you're using today. Or you could go with an enhanced ad. And these enhanced ads have video, have infinite pages, and you only pay when somebody reads it, and the price is such and such. It's $1 per view, $3 per view, whatever you charge, and you can start or stop whenever you want. What do you want? And then you let them choose what they want, but that way you keep the relationship. It's not hardball. Then the third model is what I call the nudged model. But it's kind of like the what do you call it? The brass knuckles under a velvet glove. So you introduce the digital edition, and you go to those people and you say, look, we're using this new software, and we're going to, for a period of time, maybe for the next 3 months, we're going to give you these enhanced ads for no charge. Or you could say to them, we're going to give it to you. We're going to give you $4,000 worth of these enhanced ads. We typically price them at $3 per view, but you're going to get so many dollars for free. And then after that, either time period or they go through that budget, then they're migrated into a paying customer. So those are a couple different models on how to do it, and there are others. One other thing I want to share with you, and this was not my idea, but I think it was absolutely brilliant. We have a new client on our platform. I pulled it up just before the program. Let me pull this up. It's a company, a publisher called Spa Retailer. And they're actually putting together their demo. They've built this all themselves, and it's not even finished. You'll see when I click something, it's not polished. But what they're doing to pay for this whole initiative, they're creating a front cover sponsorship that they're going to sell for big dollars. And if you look here, they're basically going to the sponsors and they're saying, look, we'll have this little page flip on the front cover. When somebody clicks it, your ad opens up. And you'll see that there's an animation. It's not exactly working great. There's some things that are going on. But they'll polish this up. And so you can say, look, this is the most visible spot in our entire publication. You're getting the inside front cover. And then you can go through and they could, play a video. And this is just using the infinite pages model where you can take them through and give them as many pages as they want, and then they can come back to your publication. So I think that one interesting way is, again, of migrating people and getting started is you just sell one sponsorship and it's going to cover cover a lot of the expense. I mean, well, you can use our software for free, so that there's expense shouldn't be an issue. But if you want to use like the higher level licenses, you can be profitable from your first issue.
Boy, this makes a lot of sense. But this will take a couple of months to roll out and get off the ground. Is there an easier way to sell the advertising to get the advertisers jump started?
Well, yeah. Let me. I love this model, and it's over top of the migration model that I had talked about. Let me pull that slide back up. But literally, what you could do is you could go out and set up a coupon and send it out to everybody and say, here's free advertising. Here's, $100 of free advertising, $1,000 of free advertising that's good for a month on an unlimited basis using our couponing system. And then you send it out. Let advertisers come in. It's all self-serve. They come into a branded area for you inside MagTitan, and they set up their ad, and it all is self-serve. And all you have to do is send out emails and say, click here, upload your ad, and get started. I mean, it's that easy. You can really automate the process of selling ads, especially to people who've never been with you before. It's a great way of getting them.
But Larry, it really sounds like from the advertiser's point of view, if they've been a really good advertiser of yours, migrating them to digital gives them a nice free pat on the back, and I'm sure they'll be happy about that. If they've never advertised with you, and it's all about accountability, that for whatever reason they didn't think you delivered enough, the pay per performance part of this is a home run to bring those new advertisers in. A lot of information, and I just want to suggest to everyone, what Larry is showing here can be seen on the website MagTitan.com. Hate to run, but we're running out of time. Before we jump into Q&A, make sure you enter your questions in the chat area, and then Larry is going to close this webinar session with a special offer.
Yeah, let's go over that. You can use our software completely for free. The only catch is that we will add in some ad pages, and that's how we'll make money. We'll even give you a revenue share off of that, but you can literally go to MagTitan.com right now, register an account, start building your magazine, and do that completely for free. So what you'll see, and I challenge all of you, you'll see many people will just, publishers tend to just overthink things, right? So but price is not an option. So that's first. The second offer that we have is this. For those of you who just want to go out and start selling sponsorships to this, what I recommend is taking us up on this offer, where we will put together, we've reduced our design rates, we'll do a 10-page animated demo issue for you. It'll have the animations, it'll show off to advertisers what you're going to do, and then you sell your sponsorships. So you spend $199, you let us do it in a couple days, it'll be done for you, and then you just go out and you sell, and that way you're making money from day one. So if you want that, it's right up on our website. If you go to magtitan.com/rates or click the rates tab, you'll see under supplemental services this option.
This webinar was going to end at 2. It's 2 minutes after 2, and I've got a whole host of questions. So I'd like to jump into some of these questions. Here's a question. Should I start with my best print advertiser or go after companies that currently are not advertising with me?
Well, I think it comes down to, the way I would look at it is you have nothing to lose by going out to the people who aren't with you. And in fact, going out with them and showing them something new like this is really often the ticket to get you back in the door with somebody who's already said no. So I like that approach. Now, the other key to this is if you're making, if you want to get a special sponsorship, if you're going to do what Spa Retailer did with the front cover or something special like that, I would probably go to my best advertisers for that and give them, on the QT, say, let me tell you what we're going to be doing. Before we roll it out to everybody, you've been such a big supporter of our magazine. I want to give you first crack at this. And I would go out to those people. At the worst, they are going to be appreciative that you confided in them and shared it with them. And at the best, you get money from your best client. You get more money from your best client.
Great. Thank you. And again, I've got questions coming in. One question I think might be important to everyone on the call from one of the people attending the webinar is, can you show a sample of the $199 starter issue?
Yeah, let me, let's see, how do I get to that? Hold on. Well, let's go on to the other one. I'm going to look and see if I can find it on my computer. And this is something that we just started on. Actually, here it is. I got it. And again, the thing to keep in mind is that every publication is going to be different because it goes after a different audience and it's your taste. This is just software. Software doesn't care whether the content is about, the food industry or the paperclip industry or, in this case, convenience stores. So here's a publication. You can show off the animations for convenience store news. It shows people how to navigate the publication, shows off all of the features, the contents and things like that. So here with this particular publication, and by the way, we didn't show it here, but if you remember the USA Today before and after video, when they open this up on a smartphone, it's going to look beautiful on a smartphone. It's going to be dynamically redesigned. It'll look different than this, but it'll be appropriate for that smartphone. And so you can kind of come through here. You'll show them how some of the ads work. You'll show some animations and all this kind of stuff. And I know the screen share software doesn't, always do it justice, so I can send links to this if anybody wants. But, you basically give people the flavor of what the magazine will be like. This is important, showing off like an ad, what the ad technology can do. So let's just see, I forget what happened here. So now you go and you can see. I don't know if it's so, you can do really cool things. So that's kind of just a short thing. So you have it's almost like a little, instead of having a sales presentation deck, you actually use the software and take somebody through it.
Well, we've now gone over our time. It has been a tremendous learning experience. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Larry, for sharing your time with us.
Pleasure.
Everyone have a great day and a good selling year.